Hello and welcome to the latest from Hearts Standard. My name is Joel Sked, and on this occasion I am joined by James Kearney. How's it going, James?
I'm very well, thanks. I'm very well. How are you getting on?
Yes, good. Good, very, very well. I had a couple of days off last week, so it was nice, and I am stalling as I try and find the sponsor message that I will read out just now.
Is there anywhere, if there's viewers watching from home and they want to get a new boiler or a new bathroom, say, where would they go, Joel? What would they do?
Well, I'm glad you've asked because it allows me to shine a spotlight on our new sponsor, MPH Group. That's where you go, James, if you are looking for a new kitchen or bathroom or high-efficiency boiler, because they are an award-winning family-run business excelling in home improvements across the mainland of Scotland, specialising in bespoke kitchens, bathrooms, and those high-efficiency boilers. MPH Group brings you your dream home to reality. They have recently achieved the prestigious Construction Line Gold, Safe Contractor and ISO certifications, underscoring their commitment to excellent safety and quality management in all their projects. The accomplishment is a testament to their dedication to providing the best possible service to their clients. They're also proud to announce their latest KBB showroom in Dunfermline, which is now open for appointments. Experience the dedication and craftsmanship that sets MPH Group apart. Visit www.mphgroup. Sorry, I've started that again. Visit www.mph.group and see how they can transform your home. Now, I have not listened to the podcast from Friday. How did you get on reading it?
I think I just about muddled through. Yeah, just about got there in the end. Yeah. You're better at it. You can speak quite fast. You're a broadcast man, aren't you? You're used to being on the telly. So
I mean, I get a lot of criticism for my inability to speak. So I am not one to. I wouldn't say I'm a professional. Let's just leave it at that. So we have got the pleasantries out of the way. Now we will look at talk about what we want to see from Hearts for the rest of the season. Just we're through a fair bit of the international break. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel with regards to coming back and playing at the weekend in the big game against Kilmarnock at Tynecastle Park. It'll be a game, third against fourth. Really looking forward to it. I think it'll be potentially exciting and big afternoon at Tynecastle. So we'll look at that game in greater detail towards the end of the week, more likely Friday before the match on Saturday. But kind of just looking at coming back for the run-in now. We've got 8 league fixtures left, a Scottish Cup semi-final, a potential Scottish Cup final, hopefully. So looking at kind of stuff we want to see, obviously the obvious one is like, I would like to see Hearts finish third. We won't be as basic as that. But in terms of just maybe individuals, something you want to see from the team, James, give me one thing you'd like to see from Heart of Midlothian between now and the end of the season.
I will go for, what would I like to see? I'll go for a comfortable, resounding win in the league. So by that I mean a win by more than 2 goals, or even just even 3 goals would be nice if it didn't come like when Hearts were already 2 goals down in that game, for instance. Because I think, am I right in saying there's been 2 games this season where they scored 3 times and both of them they've been 2-0 down in them to begin with?
No, not quite. So it was no, because County was 2-2, and so it was the Dundee. So was 2-0 down at Dundee, and then we were 2-1 down. I think we were 1-0 down and then 2-1 down against Dundee.
Dundee again at
Dens Park.
That's right, yeah.
But no, we've still not, in the league, we've still not won a game by 3 goals.
Yeah. So that's something that, I mean, at this stage it is an anomaly, I think. And I understand that there are some frustrations at times with the way the Hearts attack, and maybe the team aren't getting as many goals as they should be at times. Or, that there are maybe games where they are in a commanding position, they're not quite putting them to bed when they should. But at the same time, you shouldn't have to go a full season without seeing one relatively comfortable day at the office, where it's just, we've scored a few goals, it's nice and relaxed, everyone's enjoying themselves, maybe somebody who doesn't score very often gets in the score sheet, gets in the act. And that's just something we've just not seen, for a lot of games this season. It's been, obviously the first halves have tended to be quite poor, a bit underwhelming. To be fair, it does get better in the second half generally, but even still, I think that a full kind of 90-minute performance where Hearts are good from start to finish, and win comfortably would be nice. To be honest, the only game I can think of this season that's kind of been like that was the 2-0 win at Parkhead back in December, was it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of all the games this season. That's the one where Hearts have probably kind of looked the most comfortable from start to finish over the full 90 minutes. And that's the most difficult away game in the league on paper, at least anyway. So
that was
a little bit more, a few more goals, a nice comfortable day out. That would be nice at some point, surely.
Yeah, ideally it would come on Saturday or the week after against St Mirren, where you're looking to go into the top six having secured third place, or basically just need a result in the top six to secure third place. Because as Liam says in the comments, Saturday we have to win. Hearts are horrendous in the top six. I think we average like one win in the top six over the last 2 decades, and it's something that we kind of talked about, or I've certainly mentioned on when we do this before, is there's been so often in recent seasons where Hearts just kind of just tail off towards the end, and that's because either go through a poor run of form like we did last season, the team are just rubbish like 2019-20, 2020, or it is a case of having already wrapped up third place, as was the case in 2015-2016 and in 2021-22 when did finish third. So I think that's that's important, and it'd be nice to have a game where we just go almost like we're telling opposition this is why we're third place, and cruise into third place, and it just proving like a statement win. This is us.
No, exactly, because I think there's been a lot of games this season where Hearts have won, but it's maybe been quite tense for long stages of the game, but then they've got over the line just about, or maybe even a couple of games where they've not been very good at all, and then Shanguin's kind of done something at one end and build the team out. But yeah, it would be great to, for this team that when you look at the league table and you go, all right, okay, so Celtic and Rangers, they're kind of in their own bit, they're doing their own thing. Hearts are kind of in their own section, and then it's kind of everyone else after that. And for when you look at the league table like that and you see the team performing the way they are, there should be kind of scalpings getting handed out every now and then. Get put against teams towards the bottom end of the league. So hopefully we get to see that before the end of the season. With regards to the split thing as well, I think you're right. I mean, obviously there has been there's a track record there that Hearts don't tend to perform well in these games, and you'd hope that by the time the split rolls around, hopefully third place is wrapped up, and Hearts don't have to really worry about that. Obviously, the concern then becomes how do you keep the players motivated, how do you keep them going, how do you stop the season from just kind of petering out like that. But to be fair, I do get from dealing with Naismith, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy to rest on his laurels for even one moment. I think even if third place is wrapped up, going into the split, for instance, I can't imagine Naismith taking the remaining games lightly. Anyway, I think he's the kind of guy where he's always striving for constant improvement, never happy to settle with what he's got, and I would like to think that hopefully he can buck that trend. So we'll see, though. We'll see.
And just on the fact that we're in comfortably, you look at the league table, Kilmarnock have scored the same amount of goals as us, 39, and then Hibs, Dundee and Motherwell have all scored more goals than us this season. So yeah, some more goals between now and the end of the season would be nice. Mine is it's something of a personal crusade, because Hearts in away form has infuriated me, and I've been just tallying up the away wins over the last more than kind of 3 decades of not being able to win 10 or more away games in a league season, a top flight league season. That should be Hearts currently sit on 9. Still, I thought the previous Saturday at Ross County was the ideal way to get number 10, but that didn't happen. So got St Mirren before the split, and then you've got potentially I've not worked out yet 2 or 3 games after the split away from Tynecastle to do it. that would be, I think that would be just a nice achievement in a season where things have started poorly but then gone right.
No, exactly. I mean, it's another one of those milestones that can get hit where, we've talked about it throughout the season, things like, way back at the start of the season when it was the first time Hearts had won, was it 4 games in a row in the league, or the first time they'd won 5 games in a row in the league in about 5 years or something like that. There's some, do you remember that quite early on, maybe about October, November time? And that was crazy. Or, things like getting all these clean sheets, setting new clean sheet records, finally winning at Celtic Park. There have been all these kind of little bits of progress along the way, little milestones where it's been the first time in X many years that this has happened. And it'd just be another one that'd be quite a nice wee one to tick off. Got to say though, you think St Mirren away is a tough one, and then obviously when you get to the split, you're not going to get an easy away game at that point. So I do fear that you might have to wait one more another season, but
I can. I haven't got to 9, so got done so well away from home. Again, it goes back to it'd be nice these next 2 games because it's St Mirren and Kilmarnock, or Kilmarnock and St Mirren, who are nearest challengers. Put down a couple of statement victories going into the split and just ending any doubt about third place. Give me another one then, James. What else would you like to see?
Well, speaking of statement victories, obviously Hearts have got the Scottish Cup semi-final with Rangers coming up, and in that one of the things I'd like to see between now and the end of the season, and to be fair, Naismith will get 2 cracks at this, is to show that the team have learned lessons from the defeats to Rangers this season.
Yeah, that was a big one for me. Was the Hampden Park game where just even ideally, yes, I would really, really like to win. I would never, with Hearts having never beaten Rangers at Hampden Park, but just at least just a performance that it says we have learned and improved from the League Cup semi-final, because that was a real disappointment. Even though it was 0-0 at half time, you just never really got the sense or felt that Hearts were actually going to win that. And then obviously the game at Ibrox where the team got turned over and the game was basically done and dusted within the first 5 minutes.
Aye, no, exactly. And even include the Rangers win at Tynecastle back in, was it kind of November, December time?
Yeah.
Again, and I know we'll definitely touch on this closer to the semi-final itself, but there are common themes in terms of the kind of goals that Rangers were scoring or the areas where they were causing problems and hurting Hearts, and it's happened 3 games in a row now, I think, against Rangers. So you kind of go, oh, okay, that's not great, because as we talk about a lot, one of the things that Naismith's really be good at is his in-game management, where he'll notice things aren't going right, he'll make the necessary changes, and Hearts tend to improve. So, but that tells me he's a really astute tactician, that he knows what he's going on, he knows what he's seen out in the park. But certainly the last 3 games against Rangers, I think from a tactical perspective, Rangers have had Hearts' number right from the get-go. So I think something has to change there, whether it's the shape, whether it's the way the team presses, whether it's how they move the ball about and how they attack. I'm not entirely sure of what that answer is. Again, I'm sure we'll go into more detail closer to the time. But certainly there are certain things that they just can't keep making the same mistakes and hope to get away with it, because they've shown, Rangers have already shown they won't let you get away with it. So that's definitely one area where I think, certainly the game at Hampden, the game at Ibrox, arguably the 2 most disappointing performances of the season from Hearts' perspective. And so that's obviously where that's arguably the biggest problem in terms of what's been going on out in the park. So that's the big area that needs addressed. So again, like you say, obviously a win would be great. Of course it would be. Everyone wants to win. But like you say, I think more importantly is the fact that actually there is a performance there and that Hearts show they can compete in those kind of games. They've done it brilliantly against Celtic. Obviously the last 2 games, winning both of them 2-0. But when it comes to Rangers, right now it doesn't look as if they've got an idea of how they want to win the game, and that is a concern.
Yeah, I think I'm intrigued to see if, having played the back 3 and understand every time we've played Rangers, I'm like, yeah, I'd start with a back 3, whether that's something that Naismith might look at because it's just maybe not quite worked. Obviously, you have I would imagine Gordon and Goal in between the sticks for that game as well. And yeah, I think it's something that'll potentially get you to write, looking at what has gone wrong in the past against Rangers and how it can be fixed. And yeah, the fact that when we talked about how it'd be nice to see the performance, because when you look at it, it's a really daft thing to say, but that weekend, arguably, is like, as Ian W points out, Cup wouldn't be nice, but the Celtic v Aberdeen game semi is really the game of the season, just because of what that means European, when you put in the European perspective of what the cup winner third place means, and ideally just do it yourself, wrap up yourself, finish third, win the cup.
But what I would say though is that remember that Aberdeen's record against Celtic at Hampden is almost as bad as Hearts' record against Rangers at Hampden. So I would argue this is not a very this isn't a fine vintage Aberdeen team. I wouldn't have said either. So I know I'm asking for trouble here and I'm tempting fate, but I think it will be fine. I don't think I have to worry too much about that.
Oh, James.
I know.
I suppose I'll give one myself. I'll look at a player. I've got a couple of player-specific ones, I'm sure, as you do, James, as well. And I would quite like to see Macaulay Tate, more minutes from Macaulay Tate. I was looking at the squad and the young players who we've obviously seen. Aidan Denham, he's had a fair few starts. He's got some minutes. James Wilson's came off the bench. Finlay Pollock has been involved, came off the bench in the derby. But I think widely accepted amongst a lot of Hearts fans is that at the moment Macaulay Tate's the one that there's a lot of excitement around, and he's came on and looked really handy in certain games. So I'd quite like to see him make that next step between now and the end of the season, and having come off the bench and had cameos and changed the game against Dundee to make the next step and start a game, whether it is when third place is wrapped up and Naismith is rotate a wee bit more and will maybe give more minutes or be less. I think he's still in the mindset of guys probably need to really earn it, or if they're not quite ready, he's not going to throw them into really games that matter, but maybe he'd be more likely to do it when there is less on the line. And I think that might be the case, but especially someone like Macaulay Tate, who we've seen just wee snippets of, and we just like to see him for a full 90 minutes just to see how he reacts to situations, how he is starting a game, and to be tested, and just with the kind of looking ahead to next season, where you would hope that he'd become even more involved with a full pre-season with the first team, because he missed out on that this summer here. He was meant to go away for pre-season, but he had, can't remember when I was speaking to his dad, I think it was a back issue, a back spasm that meant that he couldn't go back. He couldn't go to pre-season with the first team squad. But if he could get a couple of starts and then kind of build into next season where he becomes more of a main player, it will be a case where I don't think he'll just become an everyday starter next season. I think there'll be progression of 2-3 seasons when he builds his minutes up, and again, it's just the start of this season, but it'd be nice to see him get a few more minutes.
No, absolutely. I mean, I don't have the figures to hand, but off the top of my head, I think he's got about 160, 170 minutes, something like that.
Yeah,
that is just in the league mind. I don't know. Did he play in the cups? Not in the League Cup. He might have played in the Scottish.
Definitely in the league. Scottish Cup might.
The point is, it's not that many minutes, all things being told. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, you definitely see him at the very least get some more minutes. Obviously, a first start, that is the next step. That's the most obvious next step. And I mean, it'd be great to see. But I think that has been a big thing with Naismith since he's come in. We've seen all these young guys getting minutes, being involved in matchday squads, getting involved in first team training. And that is one of the upsides of course, if the Hearts can manage to get third wrapped up going into the split, say you've got 4 or 5 games there where you can play about with things, and you can try out new tactics, you can try out players, and yes, obviously you still want to win because you might have certain points tallies in mind that you want to try and hit, or maybe for players you might have individual goal tallies they want to hit. But I think that those are gives you a chance to play competitive men's games that aren't, where the results are unimportant, and there aren't that many of those. you don't get many of those at all. So I think those offer. I think you can learn a lot in those kind of games, and I think they offer a great opportunity for the coaching staff to chuck in young guys and see how they adapt.
Especially when you look at the fact that Benny's still not signed a new deal.
Aye.
We've obviously had pieces up in the past. We obviously spoke to him a couple of weeks ago about his contract situation. I'm not sure that will get resolved until the end of the season, one way or the other. I still believe he's thinking over the deal, whereas Naismith has talked about Macaulay Tate as being a number 6. So it does allow you to future-proof if Benny's not going to stay, that you've got this option in here. And then if Benny does go, I would imagine I would be absolutely shocked if Hearts didn't enter the transfer market to bring in another number 6 to replace Benny Beningame, a kind of more experienced first-team ready number 6, and then you have Macaulay Tate and him kind of competing for that spot. So there's that side of things. Also, I was up at Tynecastle today, speaking to a couple of guys who work at the club, and just talking about the B team. And the B team, they've only got 3 fixtures left between now and the end of the season. So that season finishes next. I think it was middle in the next month, and then you've just the B team. They won't go away on holidays. They'll still continue to train, and then Naismith might think if there's opportunities to give these guys who he thinks have got a future minutes, because they're not getting that competitive minutes in the lower league. So there's an opportunity to bring them in at the first team fold, especially depending on what the injury situation is like at the club as well. So yeah, the sooner we get third wrapped up does give you that opportunity to play the youngsters. You, I believe, have another one around McKay and Boyce.
Yeah. So it's mainly just about wanting to see them get back in the first team. No, obviously maybe not starting every week or anything like that, or playing the full 90, but just to see them back, getting a run of games between now and the end of the season, and staying fit. Most importantly, we both know that they're both players that have had their injury struggles over throughout their careers at Tynecastle. But they're also reaching an age where it's important that you've got players of that level, of that experience playing and available and fit for you. So I think that it is really important, mainly because I think Boyce coming back first off just kind of eases the burden that's on Shankland, and that you've got another viable option up front who can score goals and can kind of perform in a kind of similar-ish role, which is always obviously a handy thing to have. But I mean, particularly someone like Barry McKay, where you look at the games this season where Hearts have had 60-70% possession, try to break down a really deep line defence and not kind of struggling with it. Guys like Barry McKay are exactly who you want in the team at that stage. To try and the guys who can pull something out of nothing, who've got that just that outstanding technique where they can hit just a cross that somebody else can't, or hit a shot that somebody else can, and then it breaks that deadlock. And I think that Hearts have missed that at times this season, and obviously, when he's barely played, he's only got 2 or 3 appearances. Is it his name this season? Something
it like that? Was just I've got the minutes up here. So in the league, he's played 160 minutes. So obviously he played in Europe a wee bit. That's where he got his injury against Hulk, and he played a wee bit against Partick Thistle. So yeah, just barely any minutes at all. When it allows me to ask you the question, because you wrote about it earlier on the season when it looked like he was coming back from his injury before he picked up his third injury the season. Because Liam asks, it says, I'm excited to see how Barry McKay fits into the team under Nacy. He's a true talent, but we've never seen anything from him since his first season. And then Matty K, interested to see how McKay adapts under this Naismith team. You looked at the different positions he can play. The team have moved on probably since then. It's more often a 4-3-3. Obviously, we have seen the back three a few times. Seen it at Ross County, seen it against Celtic. Do you still see him as in that kind of number 8 position as part of the midfield 3 rather than part of the front 3?
That's things. I think, to be honest, I see him more like now the formation's changed. I see him probably more as just providing competition for Alan Forrest out on the left, because right now there's not much competition out on that side, to be honest. So that's probably an area where he's probably needed more urgently, because Hearts are very well stocked at centre mid, as we know. But that is the thing with the mid, when it's three at the back or whether it's 4-3-3, the midfield three structure is often very similar. It's often Benny is the 6, Neuenhoff on the right, and then a kind of playmaker-y kind of number 8 on the left-hand side. And I think that Barry McKay absolutely can still fulfill that role. Don't get me wrong, I think it'll be harder in the summer once Blair Spittle and Jan Danda come in, because I think that they'd occupy a very similar position in the team if that's the shape, if that's the formation that Naismith's going to stick with. Not to mention George Grant's always also there as well, and is having a decent season. So it's going to be difficult for him. So I think he'll get more opportunities out the left wing. But certainly, if it's the back three and there are no wingers, I'd have no reservations about playing McKay in that kind of role to the left of the centre mid, like kind of left centre mid role. And to be honest, even if it was a 4-3-3, depending on the game, I think he could do it. He could potentially do a job there as well. So I think he definitely does have options, and I think there are a couple of different areas in the team he could play. The other option as well, of course, is that, Danda is a natural number 10. You were speaking to somebody who knows Blair Spittle well, and they were saying that his position is probably number 10, which makes you think, maybe there's going to be a change in shape coming over the summer. Maybe they are going to start playing the number 10s, in which case you think, again, Barry McKay is probably quite well suited to that. And I know his best performances have tended to come out in the left wing, right? But I just think with the skill set he's got, he's got that brilliant close control, great technique, good vision. I think he could definitely play that kind of proper number 10 role in behind the striker, but I would definitely need a wee bit of fine tuning first.
So he played a fair bit in last season. Nielsen, played at times. It was like a 3-4-3, and it was almost like 2 10s. So he would kind of play in a wee bit as without getting all inverting the pyramid, and kind of a wide 10 or in space behind the striker. I sometimes feel, like you, I think he has got the skill set, and you look at him, the control, the awareness to play as a central number 10. However, so often I just saw him seem to just get squeezed out of games when he played central, and he just never really got the best from him. And then you move him wide, and then he seemed to have a bit more space. He could see, I don't know if it was maybe because when he gets the ball out wide, he can see more of the pitch, and he's got a bigger picture, and then that allows him to drift in, and he loves the through ball when he's drifting in off the flank and playing like a reverse ball, or he wants to clip a ball, kind of switch a play in behind as well. So I think coming in off the left probably gives him, probably prefers the picture that he sees in front of him rather than getting the ball with his back to goal in the final third and then having to turn away from players. And like Jim mentions, I've always felt McKay is too lightweight for the middle and isn't putting his one for really putting his foot in.
Fair point.
I would, in terms of that, I would separate them. I just don't think Barry McKay, that's not his game. You've not got him in your team to put his foot in. And in terms of too lightweight for the middle, with that, I think that's where he does get squeezed out. See if the opposition are compact as they have been this season and tight, and then when the ball gets fired into him, you'll have someone like Liam Donnelly up his arse, and there'll be someone there where there's probably more space out wide for him to get in and to have a look. So yeah, I think with the 4-3-3 probably suits him better on coming in off the left. Then it allows you to play Forrest on the right. And then if you go a bit more attacking, it could allow you to play Shanklin and Vargas through the middle with McKay and Forrest flanks. I think that gives you a really nice balance or a blend of different qualities and attributes. But again, it's probably one for playing at home where you're going to dominate the ball, because away from home, you probably want three in the middle who give you a bit more control.
Aye, no, it's like Jim says, like off the ball, he's not going to offer you anything. Let's be honest.
No, it's not his game.
It's not his game, and that's fine. But it's like, okay, and there's certain games you can get away with that. I was like to say, luxury player. Like that's I don't mean to damn him with faint praise, but that's kind of the way I see it. Where it's like McKay centre mid. If it's like, okay, if it's a game where you're going to if it's Livy or St Johnstone at home, where it's like, we know what's going to happen. It's just they're going to sit back. Hearts have got the ball, and it becomes like a training exercise. Yeah, get them in. But if there's any game where it becomes a bit more open, a bit more intent, somewhere where you need to actually win the ball in the middle, yeah, don't do that.
Because I think going back to I think it was Liam's comment about McKay and how talented he was in the first season, and then he didn't really give much second season. I thought there was games in his first season where he just dominated, and you're watching some of the stuff he did, and you're just like, you're blown away by some of the passes he saw and his execution. Whereas last season, it was more moments rather than performances, moments within games. So yeah, it's be intriguing to see him coming back, and he's got that experience that Naismith's talked about in the final third. He played. He certainly played over an hour. There've been mixed reports over how much he played in the bounce game against the infamous bounce game against Dundee. But the fact that he played over an hour is a really good sign, and he should be back or hopefully be back involved in the weekend. We'll obviously get a injury update further on in the week and his progression. So yeah, that's be interesting to see how he is brought back into the fold. Have you got any more, or do you want me to go and read some of the comments that people have suggested?
No, that's me. I'm all out.
Cool. I will then bring in. So Graham would say, would like to finally see us beating Rangers. It's not happened since 2020. The semi is massive. We need to turn up. Ben Odlin, I want to try and finish as strong as possible so we can get into next season with winning squad with important cup games, though top players do need resting, go big until the semi, then see after. And Ben also says we're 10 points off one of our most successful seasons for a long time and our most successful during the Anne Budge era. And yeah, that's another one. I would quite like us to see if, I think we're on 55 points. I think the hope of getting to the 70 mark is probably just a stretch, which would mean having to win 5 of our next 8 games or remaining 8 games. I think the 70 mark is unfortunately a stretch, but certainly 65 plus points is a great return and certainly doable between now and the end of the season. Yeah. And then Graham says, if we get third done soon, then there's a chance Tagawa gets a few starts. That was probably going to be my other one. It'd be great to just see Tagawa score at Tynecastle between now and the end of the season in the league game and hear the crowd response to it, because there's been a couple of times where he's been close and everyone's kind of been willing him to score.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it'd be great just to see him kind of break that duck that he's got going on. I know he has scored against Thistle previously, but it's been a very long time, and it'd just be good to see him get that monkey off his back, and hopefully. It's just the sort of thing you don't want it to have like that kind of lingering over him going into the close season and the summer. It'd be good if he could just get that monkey off his back before then, and then hopefully comes back for the new season just a bit more settled, a bit refreshed, and ready to really try and kickstart his career at Hearts. And he's also got a great song as well, so it'd be great fun to see because we get to hear that song. Always good.
Absolutely. And there's any others added. Mikey just says, off the last 3 international breaks, we've won twice after the season resumed. We need another result this weekend against a decent Kilmarnock side who won 6 of the last 10 visits to Tiny. And yes, Kilmarnock's record at Tynecastle is ridiculously good. Or ridiculously bad for Hearts, but hopefully put an end into that and their decent run. They come into the game on a high after the win over St Mirren. But before we finish up, we've probably talked longer than we expected to. Badgegate. Can we just laugh that off? It was interesting. It was one when I saw the badge, I was like, oh, that's annoying. As a Hearts fan, it is annoying to see. But yeah, it's growing arms and legs, and it's what did you make of it as an obviously non-Hearts fan, as a neutral?
I took a very dim view of it, to be honest. I think it's a picture on a floor. Who cares, really? It's not. It's not the Vatican. It's not Mecca. It's not the Temple Mount. It's it's a changing room in a football stadium, and then somebody's put a sticker down that could presumably be removed quite easily. Obviously, there's things as well where obviously we've seen stuff on Twitter as well over the last few days about people posting about when Hearts went to Murrayfield, for instance, and slapped Hearts badges and pictures and that all over the dressing room. I don't care in the slightest. I don't understand why anyone would care, to be honest. And I think the whole thing's an absolute nonsense. It did make me laugh though. It did make me laugh, but I've got to say it's. I was very surprised the club decided to release a statement on that.
So on that, I'm not. I don't know the thinking behind it, but I imagine there was. They might have seen tweets that or comments online of Hearts fans saying basically, I can't believe the club approved that. I don't know if it's just like covering their own back, the fact that
I assume that's exactly what's going on, but it just. I mean, the word when I came across it, I texted you last night. The word I used was small time, and I stand by that word. Like, it's just, come on, grow up. Like, it's a picture on a floor. Like, you know, is it not a Hearts badge, the Heart of Midlothian on the Royal Mile?
So that's not that's nothing to do with Hartfield. That's not nothing to do with the club. That's part of Edinburgh.
Okay, right. But even in the dressing room, it's a badge that's on the floor. People are walking over it constantly anyway. Like that's fine. But as soon as you put down another sticker on it, that's some horrible desecration. Like, come on, it's not. Again, it's not sacred. It's a picture. Come on.
It's sacred to me, James. Exactly the word I used was it was desecrated. You know what I think made it worse was the fact that the Rangers badge didn't cover it all. See, if it was a Ranger badge that covered the whole thing, and you
wouldn't have known. Yeah, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, no one would have known, and you kind of moved. Everyone would have moved on. As a petty football fan, I can understand Hearts fans' frustration or annoyance with it.
No, I can get why you can see that and go like, oh, I'd rather they didn't do that. But there's no need for the club to go wading in and cause a big, with all the pearl clutching. I mean, it's just not a big deal at all.
We'll move on to brighter news, and just before we finish off international break, did you? Am I right in saying you would have talked to me about Shankland as well on the last podcast?
Yes, we did. Yes,
yep.
Yeah. So
that's fine. So I mean, we'll just finish up. We may as well mention Kenneth Vargas helped Costa Rica qualify for the Copa America, which is in the summer. So it'll be quite cool. I think there's a possibility that he could play Brazil in this summer's Copa America, which is again I've been a very good year for Kenneth.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who's the last Hearts player to play at a Copa America?
Oh,
I don't know the answer to this, by the way. I'm just curious now.
I thought you did. No. I'm not sure if they would be one. Obviously, Mauricio Pinilla played for Chile, but I don't think he played at Copa America during his time with us. So, other than that, I don't know if because they have invitees, maybe Ricardo. I couldn't answer. I'm sure there'd be someone who listens to this who have much better knowledge than myself. But yeah, Kenneth Vargas will be at the Copa America. Will hopefully be at the Copa America this summer. It'll be end of June, start of July. So hopefully we won't miss any European action. Obviously, if Hearts finish third and qualify for the group stages, it won't be until later July, start of August before involved. But he's going to be playing against Colombia, Paraguay, and Brazil, which is quite cool.
Yeah, not bad.
And the other two was Dexter Limpiquisa's goal for Jamaica, an absolute howitzer.
Yeah, screamer, absolute screamer. But he's threatened that once or twice. To be fair, there's been a couple of times he's got into a good position, and he's had shots at goal, and okay, maybe he's scuffed it a bit, but I'm sure he's had a couple of decent hits on goal during games. You kind of go, all right, okay. Man, utterly brilliant. Looking at the goal, like I've only seen the goal, I've not seen anything else. But like, was he playing it right back then, or wing back? Because he's
cutting on
his hand position. He's so far forward. Like I know we're used to seeing that anyway, but I wasn't sure if maybe for Jamaica he plays slightly further forward. But absolutely brilliant hit. What a goal!
He scored the only goal in the 1-0 win over Panama. He was playing at right wing back.
Right. So just because I guess normally when we see him, he tends to kind of cut out. He doesn't cut in all that much. Like, he is capable of doing it. We see him do it every now and then, but he normally just hits the byline, gets the cross in. But like we say, he's got that two-footedness. He's got that ability to come inside. So yeah, let's see more of that. Yeah, more of that thing, Dexter.
We've seen him cut onto his left, but usually just to deliver a cross rather than moving field and have a shot. As McKay asks, is weekend signing? No, but I'm just assuming. My assumption is that Hearts will surely take up his. I'm just assuming he's going to be here after his loan deal. Fingers crossed that will be the case. And finally, Jim Ogg said, Rowell scoring the most unexpected goal in football history. Spoke to a teammate of Kyrill's this afternoon, and he said it was typical Kyril, just swinging his foot at it, and it could have went anywhere. Cracking finish, cracking celebration. Good on him.
No, exactly. Yeah. Lovely to see. Because I think that was his first goal for Australia as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
First international goal. So, yeah, lovely, great stuff. Let's just try and get a couple for Shankland tonight as well. Tomorrow night even.
Tomorrow night, yeah. Hopefully. Still devastated about him hitting the barn there in Amsterdam, but that's for another time. So yeah, we'll finish up there. James, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening, subscribing, and supporting. Be sure to check out heartstandard.co.uk, and you'll find James's lowdown on Blair Spill, as well as James Penrice from over the weekend, and a big interview with Neil McFarlane, who is now Brentford B manager, as he has been for nearly 5 years. In terms of this week, we'll be having stuff on Big Hearts. It's Big Hearts Day on Saturday. Hopefully, I have an interview with a Hearts player at the end of the week, and there will be other bits and bobs going up as well. So be sure to check out that. Until then, goodbye and thank you again.